I think that most people who go camping in bear country probably have a pretty good understanding that bears have a very good sense of smell. But I don't think we humans truly appreciate just how excellent that sense of smell is. Let's explore that sense of smell so that we can be safer in bear country. I've now got a lot of videos up about bear safety and how to hang food in bear country, and I get a lot of comments from a lot of people. One whole category of comments I get is about concealing odors from bears. A lot of people have a sense of security when they put food in a Ziploc bag or some other airtight container, and that raises a lot of questions. Can we really hide food odors from a bear? One really big challenge we have in this is that it's very difficult to ask another animal how well they perceive smells. But one thing we can do is count the scent receptors in the nasal passage of different animals. This is the diagram of the inside of a human head. Inside our nasal cavity, we have about 5 million nerve endings that act as olfactory or scent receptors. All those receptors are attached to something called the olfactory bulb, which helps process the scent information before it goes to the brain. Now, don't dogs have a great sense of smell too? How good are they compared to humans? Well, a dachshund has about 125 million scent receptors, a fox terrier about 147 million, a beagle even more than that with 225 million, and a bloodhound tops out at about 300 million scent receptors in its nose. We all know that dogs have a way better sense of smell than humans. That's why we put them to work looking for missing people. A bloodhound can pick up a scent that's over 2 weeks old and follow the trail for miles across streams and various terrain. We put dogs to work sniffing out drugs and explosives. Specially trained dogs are even employed to detect mold, bed bugs, contraband electronics, and even cancer. So, how do bears compare with dogs and humans? A bear's nasal cavity can be over 23 centimeters or 9 inches long, and it's full of scent receptors. It even has numerous muscles inside its nose to move the nose around to get a better sense of smell. Brown bears have a nose with about 4.5 times the number of scent receptors that a bloodhound has. And black bears have even more. They've got a nose with 7 times the scent receptors that a bloodhound has. But that's not all. Bears have an olfactory bulb that's nearly 5 times larger than humans, and they use this to process the different smells that they detect. Bears not only have a better detector, but they also have a better processor for the information. Scientists who study scent in the human nose figure that we humans can distinguish between 7 different fundamental scents. That is, everything we smell is based on some combination of those 7 fundamental scents. These fundamental scents include pungency like vinegar, putrid like rotting eggs, or floral scent like from flowers. It's thought that there could be as many as 50 other potential smells out there that we humans simply can't detect. It's quite possible, we don't know, but it's quite possible that bears can smell things that we simply can't smell. Think of it this way. We humans have the sense of sight. We can use that to see color. We see the 7 colors of the rainbow or the visible spectrum of light. But the full spectrum of light is much, much broader than what we can see. Some animals, like insects, can actually see into the UV spectrum of light. Because of this, they perceive the world completely differently than we do. What I'm trying to get across here is that a bear's sense of smell is so different from ours that we humans can't possibly fathom what it would be like. It'd be like meeting one of those big-brained aliens from Star Trek and trying to understand how intelligent they were. That's what bears are. They're effectively an alien creature with a superpower that we can't possibly understand. Bears have been known to pick up the scent of a carcass or a prospective mate from over 20 miles away and make a beeline right to that scent. We humans would have a hard time detecting a tire fire 20 miles away unless the wind was just perfect. When it comes to bears and smells, we have to recognize our honest ignorance about what their scent capabilities really are. We trust dogs to sniff out narcotics and other contraband, and don't think for a minute that drug traffickers don't try and seal up their drugs with plastic and duct tape and camouflage it with coffee and other scents like perfume. Detection dogs aren't fooled by these tricks, and bears certainly wouldn't be either. So just give that a little thought when you put your camping food into a Ziploc bag and trust that it's hidden from a bear's nose. It's not. We humans are likely never going to really understand how a bear perceives and uses scent. A bear's nose is likely more important to it than sight is to a human. Experts speculate that a bear's nose might actually act like a kind of olfactory radar, and that bears make mental maps of the world around them based on what they can smell. And it's really likely that they gather much more information from scents they detect than we humans ever could. Bears likely understand the distance and location of berry crops and know if that fruit is ripe or not. A bear will likely know where and when fish are spawning and the location of other game in the area. A bear is going to rely on its sense of smell to know where its neighbors are and how to avoid rivals and probably how aggressive those rivals are. It's also going to understand the location and movements of potential mates and whether or not they're receptive. A bear is certainly also going to know the location of commonly used front country and backcountry campsites, even if they've never visited them. They're certainly going to know the location of any campfire and forest fire in the area. Scientists speculate that bears probably live their lives making and constantly updating a scent map in their minds of all the things they need to know about. So how can we apply this knowledge to being safer when camping in bear country? The good news is that a lot of the traditional advice holds true, even if we humans underestimate the bear's sense of smell. Let's look at the traditional textbook campsite layout. Conventional wisdom is that your sleeping area, your food prep, and your food storage should all be well spaced, and that your sleeping area should be upwind of the latter two. Every book about camping I know has a diagram like this. It's the standard. Let's just remember that bears can detect scents from over 20 miles away, and although wind direction is important, winds can quickly shift around. And you're likely not going to have much of a choice in how you lay out your campsite or have a campsite large enough to achieve these distances. So I rarely worry about wind direction when setting up a camp. But it's still a really good idea to separate your sleeping area from your food prep and food storage areas as much as possible. If you do attract a bear in the middle of the night, it's likely going to walk right past your tent towards that food storage. If the bear makes enough noise to wake you up, you're really going to appreciate the distance that you have. That distance is going to give you time to wake up, think, get mentally prepared, and gather your bear spray or any other weapons you have. You're going to have a chance to scare off that bear as long as there's enough space between you and your food. So let's talk about food storage. So if a bear is close enough, it's near your campsite or it's even in your campsite, it's going to know where your food is. No matter how hard you try to conceal the odors from your food bag or food barrel, a bear, if it wants to, is going to be able to find your food. All containers, even airtight containers or odor-proof containers, leak odors to the environment. If you search around on the internet a little bit, you're going to find videos showing detection dogs or scent dogs finding items hidden in so-called odor-proof bags. Those bags do not fool a dog if it's close enough, and they're certainly not going to fool a bear. Now, I'm not saying that sealing your food in plastic containers or products that are advertised as scent-proof isn't a good idea. It absolutely is a good idea. You should try and cut down on your food smells as much as possible. Bringing dry food that is well packaged and sealed is an excellent practice. Double or triple bagging your food is a really good idea, and then resealing it in a bag or food barrel will also help cut down on the scent even more. What I'm saying is just don't be fooled into thinking a bear can't smell your food. If it's close enough, it certainly can. So when you seal your food in an airtight container, a bear can still find it. What you're doing, though, is making it harder for that bear to find it from a distance. And hopefully you're making it less interesting for the bear. Bears are really curious creatures, and it's your goal to minimize your scent to be less interesting to the bears than the surrounding area. So let's talk about food prep and a clean campsite. The other thing you really should be mindful of is to always keep a clean campsite. That's traditional camping wisdom. When you cook in camp, you're going to be making and releasing scents, and that's really impossible to avoid. But I do know some folks that alter their menu on a trip to avoid really smelly items like bacon and fresh meat and sardines. That's pretty good practice. More importantly, though, I think, is to maintain a clean campsite and keep a clean camp kitchen at all times. Ensure you don't leave your dishes laying around after a meal. Clean them up right away. Wipe up any spills or drips that you might have in the campsite. Just assume that any bear in the area knows you've had a meal. It probably knows exactly what you've had. And if you clean that up right away, the bear is going to understand that. It's going to know something's happened to that food. They put it away. They ate it all, whatever. Again, your goal is to be less interesting to the surrounding environment. You want a bear at a distance who detects you to not be very interested in you and move on to something else. Also, you should be mindful when you're preparing food or eating not to wipe your hands on your clothing in any way, because that's going to leave a lasting scent for bears as well. Sometimes we like to use containers like food barrels as cutting boards, and you really shouldn't do that. It's going to leave a scent on the cover. If you do that, clean it up right away with soap and water so that you reduce the odors. Cleaning fish is another big concern. If you're cleaning fish, try and do it away from your campsite. And if that isn't practical, then again, clean up any mess and dispose of the fish guts right away. You also want to be aware of any other items you might have that give off strong odors. It's a really good idea to just leave perfumes and colognes at home. You don't need them when you're camping. Other smelly items that you're going to likely choose to bring include toothpaste and soap and deodorant. These all give off smells that are interesting to bears. So you're going to want to store these items with your food at night and make sure a bear can't access them. Either in a bear locker, a bear canister, a specially made bear bag, or hang it in a tree where a bear can't reach it. So that's it, guys. The main message here is that bears have a really tremendous sense of smell that we humans underestimate all the time. So let's not do that. Let's assume that bears know an awful lot about us through scent. They know where we are. If you're out camping in bear country and there's bears around, they're going to know where you are and probably what you're doing. Your goal is to reduce your scents so that you're less interesting to that bear and you're less likely to have a bear encounter in your camp. If you do get a bear in camp, don't assume that because you have an odor-proof bag or a plastic barrel that your food is hidden. You're still going to want to make sure that bag or barrel is someplace that a bear can't get at. Keep your food in a locker, hang it in a tree, something like that. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'm going to see you in the next one.